Mr. President, we're getting close to making tax relief for Americans a reality. Last week, the House released its tax reform bill, and this week we expect the Senate Finance Committee to release our version. In the coming days, the tax committees in both houses will review the bills, and then we'll debate them on the floor and develop a final version. Mr. President, after years of economic stagnation, Americans are ready for relief. They're ready to keep more of their hard-earned money. They're ready to finally see a real pay increase. And they're ready for access to more economic opportunity. That's what our tax reform bill is going to provide. To start with, our bill is going to put more money in Americans' pockets by lowering their tax rates and doubling their standard deduction. Under our bill, a family making $24,000 a year or less won't be paying any taxes. And families making more than $24,000 a year will be paying significantly less than they're paying today. We're also going to help families by substantially increasing the child tax credit. And we're going to simplify and streamline the tax code so that it's easier for Americans to figure out what benefits they qualify for, so they don't have to spend a lot of time and money filing their taxes. But, Mr. President, that's only the beginning. Americans don't just want to keep more of their hard-earned money. They also want to be making more of it. But Americans have had a hard time doing that lately. Wages have been stagnant for years, and new opportunities have been hard to find. And so in addition to reforming the individual side of the tax code, we're going to reform the business side so that we can give Americans access to the kinds of jobs, wages, and opportunities that will set them up for a secure future. In order for individual Americans to thrive economically, we need American businesses to thrive. Thriving businesses create jobs. They provide opportunities. And they increase wages and invest in their workers. Right now, though, our tax code is not helping businesses thrive. Instead, it's strangling both large and small businesses with high tax rates. Small businesses are incredibly important for new job creation. They play a huge role in the economy in my home state of South Dakota and other states all across the country. But the high tax rates that too many small businesses currently face can make it difficult for them to even survive, much less thrive and expand their operations. So we're going to lower taxes for small businesses so that they can grow and hire new workers. We're also going to allow small businesses to recover their capital invested in things like inventory and machinery more quickly, which will free up capital so that they can use that to expand and create jobs. Right now, it can take small businesses years or, in some cases, even decades to recover the cost of their investments in equipment facilities. That can leave them extremely cash poor in the meantime. And needless to say, cash poor businesses have a hard time expanding, hiring new workers, or increasing wages. Allowing small businesses to recover their investments more quickly will mean more jobs and more opportunities for American workers. In addition to high tax rates on small and large businesses, another thing that's decreasing jobs and opportunities for American workers is our outdated worldwide tax system, which is discouraging American companies from investing their profits here at home in American jobs and American workers. Having a worldwide tax system, Mr. President, means that American companies pay U.S. taxes on the profit that they make here at home as well as on part of the profit that they make abroad once they bring that money back to the United States. The problem with this is that American companies are already paying taxes to foreign governments on the money they make abroad. Then when they bring that money home, they too often end up having to pay taxes again on part of those profits, and I might add, at the highest tax rate in the industrialized world. It's no surprise that this discourages businesses from bringing their profits back to the United States to invest in their domestic operations, in new jobs, and in increased wages. Between 1983 and 2003, when the United States tax rate was much more competitive with those other countries, there were 29 corporate inversions where U.S. companies moved abroad. Between 2003 and 2014, when other countries were dropping their corporate tax rates and shifting to territorial tax system, there were 47 such inversions. Our tax plan addresses this drag on our economy by moving from our outdated worldwide tax system to a territorial tax system. Well, what does that mean, Mr. President? Well, by shifting to a territorial tax system here in the United States, a move, I might add also, that is supported by members of both political parties, we will eliminate the double taxation that encourages companies to send their investments and their operations overseas. Combine that with a reduction in our high corporate tax rate, and we can provide a strong incentive for U.S. companies to invest their profits at home in American jobs and American workers instead of abroad. Business tax reform is essential to reversing the economic stagnation that we've seen in recent years. The White House Council of Economic Advisors estimates that the tax reform framework that Republicans have presented will boost economic growth by between 3 and 5%. Well, Mr. President, that's good news for the economy. More specifically, however, it's good news for American workers who can expect to see their incomes rise as a result. A study from the White House Council of Economic Advisors estimates that reducing the corporate tax rate from 35%, where it is today, the highest, as I said, in the industrialized world, down to 20%, which is more competitive with our competitors around the world, would increase average household income by $4,000 annually. Well, think about that, Mr. President. Reducing the tax on businesses in this country would increase average household income for families in America by $4,000. A Boston University professor and public finance expert, Larry Kotlikoff, found that lowering the corporate tax rate to 20% would increase household income by $3,500 per year on average. This was most recently confirmed by Martin Feldstein, a Harvard professor and former chair of the Council of Economic Advisors, who noted in the Wall Street Journal this week that corporate tax reform is likely to boost household income by $3,500 per year. Mr. President, there are lots of analysts, lots of experts who are looking at these proposed changes in the tax code, the tax reform that we are attempting to get through the Congress this year and on the President's desk, who have concluded that not only will it reduce taxes, the tax burden, the amount of tax that's paid by middle-income families in this country, the reduction in the rates on businesses will also increase the number of opportunities for better-paying jobs and higher wages, and that it will raise that annual income, that average household income that is so desperately in need of a boost. Mr. President, it's been a rough few years for the American economy and for American workers. I think all you have to do is look at the numbers and know that most Americans haven't seen a pay raise in almost the last decade. But with comprehensive tax reform, the next few years, and the next few decades for that matter, can look very, very different. Republicans' tax reform legislation is going to provide direct relief to hardworking Americans, and it's going to create the kind of economy that will give workers access to more jobs, to better opportunities, and to higher wages, not just for the near term, but for the long term. I look forward to working with my colleagues on the Senate Finance Committee under the leadership of Chairman Hatch to put the final touches on our bill and to take it up in the committee next week. And then I hope we can bring that bill to the floor of the United States Senate, have an open debate, process amendments, but pass something through the Senate that we can conference with the House of Representatives, put on the President's desk, and move our economy in a direction that will provide a brighter and more prosperous future for American workers and American families. Mr. President, it's time to give the American people some relief. I yield the floor.